Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you. What's up, everyone? This is Noah Dalzell, and I'm here with Jack Simone of the How About Them Celtics podcast and Hardwood Houdini for the final Las Vegas Summer League post-game Garden Report recap. This was a fun team to watch. I'm going to miss watching this team. I don't know if that's a crazy take. I don't know how many people agree with me back home. But they finished 4-1, 100 to 81 today. That's not the score. I need to find the right score. Oh yeah, it's right here. 101 to 80. Apologies. But this was a fun team. This was a fun group. It's been a long 11 and a half days at Las Vegas Summer League. Jack, initial reactions just as you think about this team. And we were here for most of Summer League last year too. I feel like this group was a lot more fun to watch than last year's.
Yeah, this group was fun. I enjoyed it. That was just such an on-brand comment, which is why I was laughing. Like, I'm going to really miss watching the Summer League Celtics.
I love them. They were so, like, today was so fun to watch. Here's the problem.
Yeah,
None of the like draft picks or like the young prospects had a phenomenal Summer League. Like, had Baylor been going for 30 a night, but the team was 1-4, fans would be happier, you know? But as somebody who was around this team for the last 2 weeks and watched all their games, like, they were fun. They played hard. They played well.
I agree.
It was a lot of team basketball, not one individual person.
100%. You're 100% correct. It was just that I really like the Summer League Celtics into the not knowing the scores on the screen pipeline. It was just like two Noah-isms in the first five. It just made me laugh. I like this team a lot. It was very fun to watch. Like like from the jump, it was very clear, like, Baylor was struggling shooting. Ugo wasn't like dropping 30 a night, but it was very clear that the Celtics trained them to play a very specific way that led to winning basketball, right? Like, they went 4-1 in total in Vegas, and they were pressing past half court the whole time. They were running a lot of off-ball actions to get shooters open. They were cutting off the ball because Amari Williams is a great passer. Like, they were playing a very on-brand style of basketball to probably what the Celtics are going to have to do next year without Jason Tatum. And I'm not saying it's going to be 1-1. Obviously, it's very different players, but just the way they played was more of a let's try to win basketball games rather than, okay, let's just have our rookies drop 30, which I enjoyed watching.
Yeah, and honestly, probably the most encouraging thing to draw from this group was the coaching staff, because I think this team was super prepared. This coaching staff was super prepared. Everybody, like, I don't know how much people care to know this, but like, the way that Summer League works is Joe Mazzulla is not on the bench. He came to watch a couple of the games from the bleachers, and everybody else is like in an elevated role from what they're usually in. So Matt Reynolds, long-time assistant, becomes the head coach. Nana Fuland and a couple other people who were Sham God, they're the ones that are now doing like challenges. They usually aren't even on the bench, so they're usually in the locker room. So everybody has like additional responsibilities, and you could tell that this coaching staff clicked, and you could tell that the players were bought in. They played hard. They played together. And again, we see the coaches all the time, all the assistants. I think for people at home, it's like Joe Mazzulla is the face of the staff, but there's a ton of people that are involved in the day-to-day. And I think that they had a really productive run here, and there's no turnover. Like, the exact same coaching staff is coming back next year from last year, which is pretty unique as well. As far as prospects, we saw today, I didn't think anybody was going to play, but all of the rookies played. Ugo Gonzalez, Amari Williams, Max Shulga. Who stood out to you the most of those three guys heading into next year based off of their Summer League performance and just things you knew kind of heading into this?
Yeah, it's almost like a mixed bag, right? Like, I think the flashes that Ugo and Amari showed were the most significant, right? Like, but that's the key word. Like, it was flashes. Like, yeah. I think Max Shulga was the most consistent. It's just he got the Baylor treatment of he literally could not make a basket. And so, but when you look at his track record of shooting in college, it's hard for me to say, okay, he's a bad shooter. Like, you can't, like, the actual shot making is not something that you can really pay attention to in Summer League to a certain degree, right? Like, obviously Baylor shooting what he did, you're like, all right, well, he's obviously has to turn it around, just like Shulga obviously has to turn it around. But like, whenever Max Shulga had the ball in his hands, he wasn't turning it over. He was setting up the offense well. He was getting to his lanes. He takes a few too many of those mid-range like floaters that either needs to cut out or get better at. I thought Amari Williams was really good as a passer, obviously getting those back cuts. That was super impressive. But at the same time, he was like almost a step behind like on defense in terms of how quickly he reacted to things. And then Ugo was just rushing, like, and that's normal for a guy who is so young, but like off the ball, he did a great job cutting. He did a great job crashing and offensive rebounding. Like you could tell he was very adept as a defender, but he was driving the traffic without a plan. He was going for steals when he shouldn't have, and he should have just been staying in position. So I think there were certainly ups and downs for all three players involved. Like I think the upside for Ugo and Amari is definitely a lot better than Max Shulga, but from what I saw from Max Shulga, it was he was just more consistent, and he played like he's 23, 24, and that's how old he is. So I think it makes sense. But yeah.
Yeah, and after the game, Matt Reynolds said that Shulga had like a really consistent floor game. So it's not going to blow. Nothing he did would blow you away, but there's a lot of bad decision making in summer league, like a lot. And I feel like he was actually not responsible for a lot of it. Like he was probably one of their most reliable players. I'll give a shout out to Isaiah Wong. I don't know how much we're going to talk about him, but he was pretty impressive. Like this is the guy. This is his third summer league. He's played for a couple different NBA teams. He just played in Lithuania with Lonnie Walker, actually, over the winter. Had 18 points tonight. Was just really kind of phenomenal offensively. And after the game, he talked about, his goal right now is to show that he can defend and that he can play make. And that was the big change from everybody knows that he can score. I was sitting next to a Pacer scout. He was previously on the Pacers. He said that's not a question. So he's one of those fringe players that is kind of like 1 foot in the NBA, 1 foot out. A couple of guys. I mean, really everybody that played tonight showed some promising flashes. I don't have a ton, honestly, on Ugo because I do think that he played very rushed throughout the summer league. There was just the learning curve right now is so steep that it's hard to draw too much. But I will just say I looked into this because I remember this discourse from last summer. The summer league 3-point shooting just does not correlate well at all to NBA 3-point shooting. And some people have looked into this and really plotted it all out, and you can Google it, check it out for yourself, but it really doesn't. So that's why the guys that didn't shoot well, Baylor Shireman, Max Shulga, really, I mean, this team did not shoot well as a collective. That's not really what I was looking for here. It's a 5-game sample. And when I asked Matt Reynolds about Baylor yesterday, he was like, if you were shooting for 5 games in December or January, February, it would just be like not a big deal. But I think because of summer league, everything gets extra scrutinized. Baylor Shireman and Jordan Walsh both did not play today. They were the only 2 guys on the roster who were in street clothes. Kenny Lofton was not with the team today. He had a prior obligation for the last day. Baylor and Jordan, Jack, what are your kind of reactions to those 2 guys who it's not their first go around? The previous 2, draft picks for the Celtics for the last 2 years. What do you kind of make of their performance here over the last 2 weeks?
I think I ended up pretty, like, relative to where I was before, high on both of them. I'm not going to say, like, the stock skyrocketed. Like, neither of them had unbelievable performances, but Baylor did a great job of doing everything that wasn't actually putting the ball in the basket. I know that sounds like kind of backwards, but in a way, you can't really control if it goes in. Like, obviously, you literally do. But if you're in a slump, you're in a slump. Like you said, like if he had this 5-game shooting slump in January of next year, we're just talking about it. Hopefully he'll bounce back soon. But since it's his only basketball we've seen him play in a month, and we will see for a few months, like it's tough. But I think outside of that, he did a great job. I think he was a little bit too antsy going for steals, which worked out a lot. But I think he needs to do a better job of staying in place and moving his feet on defense. But I thought his playmaking was great. I think his ball handling was very necessary for this team. He had a great job, did a great job setting up his teammates for making plays and getting open threes for his other guys. And for what it's worth, for as much as the shots didn't go in, creating his own 3-point looks, he did a great job moving off the ball, like getting those almost JJ Redick, Sam Hauser-esque, like I'm going to come off the screen and then shoot the ball immediately. Like he did a good job getting to those spots, and they were clean looks. They just didn't fall. And then Jordan Walsh, like he was confident. He did everything he needed to do. Obviously the ejection was less than ideal, but getting to his 3-point shots, taking the chance to create when he needed it. He got into the paint very, very well, but it wasn't like once he got there, he was lost, sort of like Ugo struggled with a little bit, but he planted his feet, made a pass if he needed to, went up at the rim if it was there. Like, I think both have earned their chance to be a part of the rotation for at least stretches next season.
Yeah, and I think with, I asked both Jordan and Baylor who they're currently studying, like from a film perspective, because there's obviously, it's interesting. Like all these guys are in the position where they're not quite like NBA rotation players. Those 2 guys have had NBA experiences and NBA minutes. Baylor Shireman said that the 3 guys that he's kind of been studying and drawing different parts of their game from are Mike Conley with the floater, Luka Doncic with the passing and the playing off 2 feet, and then Duncan Robinson, just kind of the flying off screens, the 3-point shooting, all of that. And I think that was an interesting trio of players. I can see what he's saying there with all 3 of those guys. Jordan Walsh was the more intriguing comparison because I think you can kind of see it better. He mentioned Jaden McDaniels and Aaron Nesmith as 2 guys that he has their film on his phone, on his iPad. He's constantly watching it. He's constantly studying it. So I know sometimes like you hear the comparison and you're like, well, Baylor Sharman's not going to be Luka, but it's interesting to see what they can draw from these other guys. I felt like they both had a pretty good summer league and neither of them like blew us out of the water here. And I was curious to see if there was going to be like a clear separation of like, okay, this is the guy that coming out of here just seems head and shoulder above the rest. And that's the big question that wasn't answered. Baylor maybe looked the most comfortable, but as far as shot making, Jordan was more reliable. Ugo, I think, looked a little bit behind both of them just as far as the learning curve. And that doesn't mean much for his long-term outlook in Boston, but just for right now, he's not going to come in right now and be an impactful NBA player without a little bit of time here. So I feel like they both had a pretty decent summer league. Just I think we're probably hoping to see like one person separate themselves from the pack, and we didn't really get that here. I don't think.
I think if Baylor even shot like 35%,
Yeah.
he would have been that guy. It just didn't happen. His shots just weren't falling. I think one of my biggest takeaways is all 3 rookies probably need some time in Maine. And that makes sense with a guy 28th pick and then 2 second rounders. But I think a lot of people with all the stuff around Ugo, I mean, I made a video on him. Like you can very clearly see the pathway, but you get like take a step back. Remember, he is 19. He was the 28th pick for a reason, right? Like he got all this hype of a top 5 pick. And I think that potential still could be there, but there's a reason he fell in the draft. And so I think all 3 of those guys in Shulga, in Amari Williams and Ugo are going to need some time up in Maine. And if anything, it'll be good for them. Get some more consistent reps with the team and get to play 30 minutes. Like I don't think Ugo sitting on the end of the bench and getting in 5 minutes every other game is really going to help him in Boston. And so I think all 3 of those guys will benefit a lot, and you'll get to learn a lot about them from spending time in Maine.
And you're probably not going to see Jordan in Maine this year. He played one or 2 games with the Maine Celtics last year. Baylor Shireman, it was pretty obvious that at one point in the season he had graduated from Maine and he went up to Boston or down to Boston, and that was that. So those 2 guys, like 2 guys that did not play today, I don't think you're going to see them in the G League next year. They're going to get NBA opportunities. How many opportunities is going to depend on whether they can be impactful in those opportunities. And that's what people forget. Like people forget in November, Jordan Walsh was in the rotation. It was not a lot, but he got moments and stints, and Sam Hauser had the back thing and Jaylen Brown was injured. So like Jordan had chances. He's going to have more of those chances this year. And I think he's going to be more ready. And one thing that's noteworthy is his shot looks better. And he said it feels better. I think you asked him about that, right, Jack, this week about just his 3-point shooting. He said he's been working on it with Craig. He's kind of focusing on his feet and little kind of corrections there. So his shot has looked better and he's looked more confident. And that's the big thing. Like he is going to have to ultimately hit threes in order to stay on the floor for this team. That's just, I don't really see a world around that. Same thing for Baylor. So that's going to kind of figure itself out as well. Anybody else from the other guys? I'm seeing some people here. Jalen Bridges is somebody that stood out. Anybody else that stood out to you, Jack, from the other guys, not the main ones that we're always talking about?
Yeah, I mean, ironically, the Maine guys, as in guys who could be in Maine next year, of the like end of the bench guys who I'm like, I would like the Celtics to keep tabs on, or I think they probably should keep tabs on. I like Jalen Bridges a lot. I think the 3-point shots there, him and Zach Hicks are very clearly really good 3-point shooters. You worry about their defense guarding the first step a little bit. Like, can they stay in front of ball handlers? Zach Hicks definitely a forward, so he's going to have to guard some of those super athletic guys and maybe switch on to big. So you wonder if they can get there. Hayden Gray was just really fun to watch, like work stealing the ball. Obviously, he came in as this NCAA steals leader, all that stuff, and you could see how actively he was looking for steals. But of all the guys at the end of the bench, like I think the one that stood out to me the most throughout Summer League really was Jalen Bridges. Like I just think the 3-point shot has been there consistently throughout stages of his career. I think the defense could be there. He just has to work on it. Ben Gregg impressed me too. I thought his rebounding was a lot better than I thought it would be. The shot's a little funky, but like just the way he battled down there was good. Yeah. And then we can talk about Miles Norris too, but he's on a 2-way. So of the guys who aren't on 2-ways, those are the guys who stood out mostly.
Yeah, and I see someone here asked about the way the 2-ways work. There's 3 2-ways. Miles Norris was already signed for one of them, so that's already a thing. And then there's 2 other spots that are not official yet, but I would imagine they go to Max Shulga and Amari Williams. It's pretty unusual to draft a player and not offer them a 2-way. So those are the 2 guys, and that's part of what ultimately sent Drew Peterson to Charlotte is the fact that now there was 3 rookies and 2 of them are going to be 2As rather than just 2, which was initially slated when they had the 2 picks. So they're both currently slated to get 2-way contracts, but they have not been officially signed yet. And honestly, I like Miles Norris still. It's just he makes certain plays where I'm like, okay, that is an NBA player. That's an NBA rotation player. He can shoot. He's long. He's tall. He's athletic. And for some reason, he's just never able to like I thought he was going to have 30 points today, and then he doesn't. So I don't know if it just needs to come together, if he needs to be more aggressive. And granted, he played 18 minutes, so it's he didn't have a ton of opportunities, but I'm still waiting for him to get the chance to like really break through. And actually, that's funny you say that because somebody says Obi Toppin is one of the guys that he mentioned as like who he's kind of modeling his game after. So he has been watching Obi Toppin film. Yeah. I don't know. You like Miles, right, Jack?
I like Miles. I like the outline of Miles. It's just like you said, the consistency hasn't been there. Like he'll shoot 3 or 4 for a couple games in a row, and then he'll go on a cold stretch where he doesn't shoot very well. And I mean, that's the case with a lot of younger players or guys trying to break in the league. Like at the end of the day, the same thing goes with Baylor and Walsh, everything we've mentioned. Like you have to be able to hit the shots consistently, and you can do all the other things really well, but you got to be able to do the things that you're built to do very well to stay up. Like off the ball, he's been a pretty good defender. He uses length. He can challenge at the rim a little bit. He can get his hands in passing lanes, but at the same time, he'll get beat off the dribble a couple plays in a row. Or offensively, he'll take a 3 in transition and it'll, cash it and he'll look at the Hawks bench and it'll be hyped up. And then 2 plays later, he'll miss like 2 wide open threes. Like it's just, I like the build. I like what Norris could be. And if he impresses in Maine again next year, I think it'll be very worth like, let's see if we give him a couple chances in the rotation of Boston if it sticks, but he just has to be more consistent with what he does. And I can see a world where it happens, but I could also see a world where it doesn't.
And the last thing I'll say, and then maybe a quick message from our friends over at PrizePicks. I think Baylor was clearly the leader of this team. I was sitting right next to the Celtics bench today. I don't even know if I was in an official media section because I really wanted to hear what they were saying. And Baylor was like kind of, urging everybody on, talking to the guys on the floor. Aaron Scott in particular was somebody who I really liked the energy and hustle that he played with today. He was really kind of coaching him up. Afterwards, Aaron said that Baylor kind of took him in under his wing right when camp started. So Baylor, I think, he's older. He's 24. This is his second year at Summer League. He had a good Summer League last year. Like I think he showed probably his shot making was a little better last year, although you can tell he's a better player now. But that's just a little kind of observation is that there were really good vibes around this team. Like even though there was some, internal frustration, I think a lot of guys probably feel like they didn't play at their best. They didn't shoot at their best. But I think he kind of kept his spirits really high, and it did kind of stand out. It's unusual to see guys struggle like that and have it not impact their body language, their leadership, their intangibles, their hustle, all those things. And it never strayed. He looked more frustrated today when like Aaron Scott missed a shot than he had looked himself when he had missed his. So shout out to Baylor for that. And a quick message from our friends over at PrizePicks.
This show, as always, is powered by PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Turn your sports opinions into real cash with PrizePicks. With millions of members, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you have to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. All you have to do is download that PrizePicks app, use the code CLNS to get $50 in your account when you play 5. That's it. All you have to do, play a $5 lineup, 50 instantly in your account when you use the code CLNS. You don't have to win. All you have to do is play 5, and that is that. Always check the PrizePicks app. There's free squares to be had all the time. Once again, all you have to do for new users is download that PrizePicks app, use the code CLNS, play 5, get 50 instantly in your account. Once again, download the app, play 5, get 50 instantly when you use the code CLNS. PrizePicks, run your game.
So that's it on Summer League. Those were the 5 games, 4-1 record. I think they should have gone 5-0, and they should have been in the championship game, which is starting right now, or just started. But that Miami Heat loss, you have no margin of error at Summer League. Even some of the undefeated teams didn't make it for point differential, and I think we're all going to remember that Jordan Walsh ejection because it felt like that was kind of where they lost it a little bit because he was really one of their most reliable and consistent players. I do have some breaking news to report. I don't know how engaged people are going to be, but Hayden Gray officially has signed with the Maine Celtics. So that is one guy that will be on their Maine Celtics roster. A lot of the guys on the Maine Celtics from last year have been dispersed kind of across a bunch of different summer league teams. So there is, it's going to be a completely different group over there. So I know some of the listeners of this show also follow the Maine Celtics, some probably only when the two ways go up there, but they, they're going to have a completely new look. Phil Pressey will be the head coach over there, who was formerly a Celtic player, one of the player development coaches. He's going to be moving up there. We were chatting with him about that yesterday. But Hayden Gray, I actually loved the minutes that he had on the floor today. Just like he had an incredible transition block he had no business getting. A couple of steals, a couple of deflections, and he was the NCAA's all-time steals leader last year. Or not all-time steals leader, national leader last year. So that was pretty cool. I thought, what do you think about him, Jack, as far as where he kind of ranked amongst those guys that didn't really get much of a chance till today?
He was good. I tweeted, like, it's one thing to know that a guy was the steals leader. It's the other thing to see, like, why. And it was just so clear. Like, every time he saw a play happen, like, he could see plays unfold before they actually happened. There was one where a big caught it on the roll, and he, like, turned around, and Hayden Gray was already there, ready for the steal. And it was, like, 32 seconds into the game, and he got a steal. So that was fun. He moves really well off the ball, too. There was a play in, I think it was the fourth quarter, where he drove, kicked the ball out to Isaiah Wong, and then relocated to the corner, and Isaiah Wong drove and kicked it back out, and that's how he got his open three. There was a play earlier in the first half where he like cut under the hoop and got an easy layup on the rim. Like he just knows where to be on the floor, and I think that's probably why he was the NCAA steals leader. Like he is very aware of where everybody else is on the floor, where he needs to be to make an impact. And I'm not saying this is going to be like, oh, he's going to be the next like Maine Celtics success story, but getting a closer look at him in Maine absolutely makes sense. He's a great defender, at least in terms of like getting steals and knowing where the opposing players want to go. He looked pretty comfortable with the ball in his hands. His shot looks all right. Like I think he's very worthy of the Maine Celtics contract.
And someone said, no, I thought it was big news. If I'm breaking it, it's probably not big news. It's probably, or if I'm the first to report it, it's probably not big news. It's probably Maine Celtics related news. But anyways, I was excited to hear that because he has been pretty fun to watch, and it's just cool to see people with that ball hawking instinct. It's one of those things where if you don't have it, you can't really do much. But I mean, I guess you could try, but you can just see some guys just don't have it, and that's just their nature. I don't have it as a basketball player. Jack knows. I try my best. I'm seeing some comments here on Josh Minot as a prospect. Besides for the guys that have been here at Summer League, just want to remind people, Josh, who we actually met for the first time last week, he spoke briefly at halftime of one of the games. Luka Garza also was here. Georges Niang was courtside for that same game, along with Xavier Tillman, who will also be on the roster next year, and Mias Keita, who I know Bobby Manning has spent some time over in Portugal with. So a couple of different guys that will be returning outside of the guys that are here. Of those like players that were not in the rotation last year, whether they're new acquisitions or they're returners from last year, is there a guy that stands out right now as like, this is the guy that, they have an opportunity to kind of really break through, really, be impactful for this team? Because I do think we're forgetting that, the guys that have been here at Summer League, that's just like a portion of the younger players that are going to be battling for minutes.
I think obviously Keita has the biggest chance. You have to assume he's going to be the Celtics starter next season. I think the peak of Keita is definitely capable of being an NBA caliber rotation center, whether it be a starter or a backup center. It's just the case of, can he do it consistent enough and sort of eliminate some of those positioning mistakes? I've been skeptical in the past just because he, like, at least positionally and in terms of making those mistakes, it didn't seem like he got a ton better from year to year. He also didn't get the chance to play through them. So I think that's going to be huge for him. And I would, love to see if he can manage to do that. I also think that Baylor Shireman and Jordan Walsh, obviously the Summer League, don't put that on the screen. I knew you were going to put that on the screen. Like, come on. I saw your eyes move and I saw a smirk. Come on. I think of the guys they signed in terms of Minot and Luka Garza, like Garza will probably have the clear path to opportunity. Stop. Garza probably has the clearer path for opportunities, but I do think Minot is probably the more intriguing player. I think defensively, he is very underrated. Like, he's a great one-on-one defender. I think as a help over defender, he is a very, like, he can be pretty intriguing. I think using him, it's always so easy to say like, oh, the Robert Williams role, but like that sort of help over free safety guy. Like, I could see a world where Josh Minot can fill that. It's just a matter of, can he be consistent enough on offense? The 3-point shot's never really been there consistently for him. He's a couple of years of like okay shooting percentage wise, but the volume wasn't there. But if he can learn how to like pick and roll, screen, cut off the ball, get into the paint, play the dunker spots. Like I think there could be a world where Josh Minot is pretty intriguing.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about him. I think my guy is Nemish Keita still. I do think he's gonna have like a big season next year. I'll punch it in now. I think he's gonna average a double or near that. Maybe 10 rebounds is a little ambitious, but I think he's gonna average a double. I think that's gonna be the opportunity that he gets. If he stays able to stay healthy, stay on the floor, and stay out of foul trouble, that's going to be crucial for him because he's not going to be playing 8 minutes. They might need him for 25, 30 in a given night. This feels like the year that it's going to all come together, or it's not, and then that's not a good sign for him in his kind of long-term NBA career. But when you're a guy in his position, where you've been battling for 2As for roster spots, and you finally get this opportunity where a team that you've been playing for, the top 3 bigs in that rotation are gone, and they don't really bring anybody back that's like expected to be like the starting center. Like I don't think any of these offseason signings or acquisitions are like assigned to him, that they trust those guys more than him. Like the path is there. Obviously he plays a game that has some mistakes, that it's not perfect, and sometimes he's out of position, and he's had some low moments over the past 2 years. But I do think he's one of those guys that if you give him a chance and you let him play through that, you're going to see a lot of high returns, because I've seen this guy play in the Summer League and in the G League, and he's head and shoulders above the rest. Like if Keita was playing here today, he would have destroyed. He would have dominated this league. And that doesn't mean anything, right? Because we need Keita at the next level at this point. But I'm really high on him. The more I think about it, and I went back and watched some of his minutes from last year, like the more I think about it, the more I feel like this is going to be in the short term their center solution. And if it's a terrible, disastrous year, then he's not a part of their future, but he might end up kind of showing that he could be one of those guys like a Peyton or a Sam or a Luke that ends up becoming a big rotation player. I'm talking about Nemish Keita as far as guys that I'm kind of high on for next year that haven't really been a part of the rotation in the past. And also I saw some question on Kenny Lofton. Kenny Lofton was not with the team today, so that's why he didn't play. He had a prior obligation, so that was in the cards, I guess, from the beginning.
I mean, listen, like when Cade is at his best, he's giving you what you said, like 10 rebounds, shooting 8 of 10 from the field, 3 blocks a game, like great rim presence. It's just the problem is when he's not that, he is fouling 4 times in a couple minutes. He's out of position defensively or gets beat off the dribble. He misses 4 shots around the rim, and inflating your rebound numbers is like not really something to dig at, but like just you need to be able to finish those touch shots since he's not passing out of the paint. When he is at his best, and the peak of Nemish Keita is like a genuinely really solid NBA rotation center. It's just, can he do it consistently? And hopefully he'll get the chance to prove that this season.
Every time I use my mute button, it freezes. I'm weighing the background noise.
Why don't you just mute your mic, like on here instead of your?
I don't like touching the mic. That's when all the problems start. When I start touching the mic is when all the problems start. I think that's my thoughts on Summer League. I know we have a couple other news items we want to discuss. Is there any burning last Summer League questions? This, again, as I said, this was a really fun team to cover. Really good vibes. You can tell they were a lot of fun. They enjoyed being around each other. They played really hard. They played really together. I think the coaching staff was super prepared, did a great job. Like this was a fun group. Last year's group was a little tougher. Like I don't know that it's one person's fault, but you could tell that last year's group just like struggled. They were not able to be as effective on the floor together. There was a lot more like, and again, shout out to the front office because they put this group together too.
Mm-hmm. I will also say you can just take Control D to mute the mic if that's easier for you, so you don't have to.
We can go over it after the show. I can't. I'm not learning new things on air right now.
As far as any final Summer League things, I know people were like hating in the chat. Shoga is still like, I was very impressed with Max Shoga. I'm going to keep saying it, and people can still, get upset with the fact that I liked him. But he needs to improve the shot. He needs to make sure those floaters goes in. But how comfortable he was running the offense and how good he was at drawing 2 defenders and kicking out and sort of getting things started. And I was impressed, and I'm going to keep saying it. So I think he'll need a lot of time in Maine. Same thing with Amari and same thing for Ugo. But I can see the outline if the shot does fall, which it did in college. So
Jack is going to spend a lot of time going up to Maine to see Shoga. If anybody wants to find Jack on a random Wednesday evening in November when the Celtics are off, he'll be up there with Shoga.
As if you won't be, bro. What?
No, I'll be there. I'll be there. But I might be there for somebody else, I haven't figured out who I'm going to be there for. Okay, well, that is our Summer League thoughts. Did want to discuss the free agency news out of yesterday. that I know is a little bit of a sensitive topic. Marcus Smart is set to sign with the Lakers after a buyout with the Wizards, 2 years, $11 million. Kind of a wild turn. I did see the quote graphic today, or there was some graphic on social media that was Al Horford in the Warriors jersey, Marcus Smart in the Lakers jersey. Was there a third one in there? Or was it just those two?
Who was it? Say it again. Who and Marcus?
It was Al Horford in the Warriors jersey. It was Marcus Smart in the Lakers jersey.
Was it KP Hawks jersey, Drew Blazers jersey,
Luke Saint Spurs jersey.
Yeah.
Achilles injury. It's been a hell of a couple months.
It's been tough. It's been tough. Rondo
tough.
Lakers jersey, Isaiah Thomas Lakers jersey. Everyone was just putting the point guards in Lakers jerseys. It was rough.
Yeah, and obviously Marcus Smart. I'm a huge Marcus Smart fan. I know he's been a little bit divisive amongst the fans throughout his career and still to this day. My first reaction though, and I got a little bit of backlash, but my first reaction for it was I'm happy for him because it's not fun to see a guy with his competitive spirit and his skills to, go to Memphis, be injured and kind of resting all year, got traded. He was kind of shut down last year in DC. Like when he was in Boston, they were just not playing their vets. Like nobody wants to be in that position. That's the part of the NBA that I think is like the worst aspect of the league, that you have night in and night out guys that are healthy effectively, just not playing because teams are tanking. So that was not a good situation for him long term. I'm sure fans would have rather him go to some random competitive team and not the Lakers. But it wasn't his choice. Like, I mean, it wasn't a choice to leave Boston. And once he's out there, like he got bounced around. I don't know how many opportunities he had. 2 years, 11 million. Clearly, like his value is not that high at this point. So the Lakers give him a chance to make a playoff run. We'll see how competitive that team is. I would imagine he starts. You think he'll start for the Lakers?
I'm trying to think of who else they have on the roster and what moves they've made this summer. I can look it up. Lakers roster. Maybe he starts next to Luka and Braun at the 3, and then Ayton, and then like Jake Laravia. I think I'm forgetting who else on the team. Oh, Austin Reeves. No, he's not going to start. Austin Reeves and Luka are probably going to be the backcourt. That was a silly thing to forget.
Yeah, and you don't really want Marcus as the 3. Like
or Luka as the 3. You don't want Luka as the 3 guarding threes. That's the problem. Like you can't.
Who's guarding threes on that team?
That's the problem. Like you almost need Marcus out there guarding threes, like Dalton Connect and Jake Laravia, your other like decent forward options to roll out.
I guess
there.
LeBron.
It's kind of messy. LeBron, but he's not really the defender he once was. Like you almost would rather. I think your hope if you're the Lakers is you either hope Jake Laravia is capable of guarding guys like that, and then you roll him out there for the size. And if not, maybe you just have to run small ball with Marcus Smart at the 3. Like that's going to be the problem. But the Lakers just don't really have as good perimeter defenders. You can run Rui at the 4, actually. So maybe he's guarding your 3s. Maybe Rui's guarding that. And then like, I would guess Smart doesn't start based on the other guards they have in the rotation. It's probably going to be Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, DeAndre Ayton with Smart off the bench. But yeah.
And I hope this does end up being a good situation for him. Like my initial instinct was this is competitive. This team's going to be in the playoff mix. They're clearly trying to win now. But it's also that Lakers are a place where a lot of role players go and really struggle. So especially if it's a weird fit, they have a little bit of a weird lineup as far as some defensive holes, and obviously they're going to bring him in to defend. I just don't know to what extent. So. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm sure I saw fans were pretty sad about it, or at least, Marcus Smart diehard fans. This is not what you want to hear. Still no update on Al Horford, which is it's getting late in the summer. Yeah, it's 2 weeks now. July 6th was 2 weeks ago, and still nothing on Al. So everything I heard here at the beginning part of Summer League is like any day now, Al's gonna sign to the Warriors, and it kind of got quieter as the week went on. So I don't know if anything's changed, if he's had a change of heart around maybe retirement or if there's other suitors. But I thought it was a done deal, but it's been weeks and nothing yet. But yeah, that's where Marcus ends up, at least for the foreseeable future. I saw Tatum posted today that he had his leg out of the boot. I don't know if that's a permanent change, but it's kind of good to see the trajectory of his recovery. I believe right now he's heading down south. I know he has his golf tournament next week. So that's his foundation's like flagship event in St. Louis. So maybe he'll be kind of more out and about there. I saw he was working out, I think in Tennessee with one of the basketball teams there. So he's out and about. He's not just in Boston. I know he was in Boston for most of the summer. He's been in Boston, as is Jaylen Brown, as they both rehab. I think Tatum progress is going normal, and probably every little crumb that we get over the next few weeks will feel like news because I don't think he's going to talk to
Desperation.
media. Yeah, like he's been pretty low key. I don't know if you've seen Tyrese Halliburton has been everywhere, like on his little scooter at WNBA All-Star Weekend, but
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton
it's
was ready
Tatum's
to like
nature.
Halliburton was ready to bask in like the NBA Finals run, and then he just went down in Game 7. He's like, guys, I just had the best run of my life. Please, I need to be outside. Like, let me go, please.
That's so true. Like he still wants to relish in like what he did, even though it didn't
Yeah.
like have the desired outcome.
Yes.
You think we see Tatum next year?
He's an addict, so maybe he does. You just know he's like, okay, how soon can I play? Can I play? If I had to like bet, I would like be very like 51% no, just because like you see how quickly, or not quickly, I guess it's on pace, but just like the way he is recovering and the progress he's making, I would still like probably say no, but I do think there's a chance just because of how young he is, how healthy he's been throughout his career. Like it's not like he has a huge injury history, but like I would still guess no, just because the Celtics are probably going to play it safe. And I mean, to be honest, by the time he is ready to come back, there might not be a point in bringing him back. Like it fully depends on where the Celtics are, like how they've fared in the Eastern Conference throughout the season. But yeah.
Yeah. My initial thought when he went down and you were looking at timeline and it was like right on the edge of it being possible even was if they kept a really competitive roster together, then I did think that he was going to try to come back for a potential playoff run. But seeing how the summer's gone and just the roster that's been assembled, I don't know if it's a playoff team or not, or if it is a playoff team, if there's going to be a run for him to like that's worth rushing back. I mean, nothing's really worth rushing back. He should prioritize his long-term health. But the way things have shaken up over the last few months, I'm less inclined to think he's going to actually lace up, even if he is almost ready or wants to be ready or that sort of thing. And Halliburton's already been ruled out of next year. Damian Lillard with the Portland deal, I feel like there's no reason for him to come back. So probably all three of those guys don't play, which kind of sucks. 3 fun players to watch play.
Kyrie too. Not that the chat will like him very much, but just the whole league is going to be out next season.
Yeah. Kyrie will probably come back though, right?
Late in the year. I mean, he still tore it in like March. It's like it was very late in the season that it happened. So we'll have to see.
That was a tough few months for NBA star player injuries. I'm probably missing one too, but those 4 being like on playoff teams, meant to make runs.
The Pacers had 3 Achilles tears this season.
Insane.
That's ridiculous.
Also, there have been so many injuries at Summer League. Like,
yeah,
it's been terrible to watch. Like, there was 3 days in a row where I'm pretty sure somebody tore an ACL right in front of us.
Yes. Just the worst. It was Baisley and then a guy in I think it was the Warriors maybe. I saw, and then like the Grizzlies. It was bad. Not fun to watch.
Yeah, I always feel bad, especially when it's Summer League, because it's like a lot of these guys don't have any NBA contracts, and starting today, like you are not affiliated with a team anymore. So it's like for 2 weeks you're living the NBA lifestyle and the NBA hotel and all of that, and then once your Summer League contract's over, unless you're on a 2A or you're on a standard roster spot. So there's 14 guys in the Celtics, only 5 guys, or no, 6
and that's
guys.
Probably a lot for a team like
that's
that. Celtics probably have some of the most for any team here.
Yeah, because all of their rookies were playing, all of their 2As were here. So yeah, it kind of sucks to watch because you realize like it's so tenuous at this point. Yeah, that one was terrible. We were sitting right there, and that was a sad one to look at. So 2 weeks of Summer League have wrapped up here, and we're not going to have a lot, I think, over the next few weeks as far as news and developments. I still think that more moves are coming as far as they're above the second apron, so they're going to get below the second apron, whether it's one little transaction, maybe it's waiving JD Davison, maybe it's a series of trades, and the roster that we know right now is actually a shell of the roster that we're going to see in October. Do you have an instinct in one direction or another? Like when you look at the 15-man roster right now, like does this feel like who we're going to basically have on opening night, or do you think it's going to be wildly transformed?
I mean, I still think like there's definitely going to be at least one or two more moves. Like they're still above the second apron. They're not going to make all those trades of trading Drew and Kristaps just to stay over the second apron still. Like that doesn't make any sense. The biggest question for me at this point is not whether or not they're going to make another trade to get under the second apron, but really like, are they going to try to duck the luxury tax, which I know people don't like to hear, but if you're trying to set yourself up to compete next to Jason Tatum and you plan to spend a lot of money, resetting that repeater tax is important. And if there was any year to do it, unfortunately it's this year. Like it couldn't hurt to try it now, because then it would, if you're ducking the repeater tax this year, it's a lot easier to next year. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just saying it would.
I don't want them to duck the repeater tax because I don't want them to be tempted to do it next year. So for people that don't know, you have to be out of the repeater tax 2 years in a row to be out, right? So if they do it this year, you're 1 out of 2 years, and then it's like, aren't you going to be like, let me try it, let me do it again, so we can finally get out of it?
That's what they did when they traded Tice. Like that was kind of like the end goal. Like, so I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm not saying I want them. I want them to. But if there was ever a 2-year period to do it, this would be one of the years to do it in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess objectively you're right. I do feel like when you think about next season, like you're still in a pretty short window at that point, because you still have I don't want to say aging Tatum and Brown, but like they're no longer 24.
They're not 24 anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. What sucks about being exactly their age is that every time I start talking about how they're aging, it's like I'm actually saying it about myself. So I always like, yeah, and that sucks, So I know Jack, you're 11 months younger than me. Yeah. So
almost a year.
That's what 11 months is.
Really.
Yeah.
Huge difference, if you ask.
So I think more trades are coming, but I don't think they're going to get below the tax. I think they're just going to get below the second apron, probably end up in the first still.
Probably, yeah.
That's my understanding. We'll see what the market is. I've talked to a lot of people here at Summer League who believe that Anthony Simons, the teams have gotten calls about Anthony Simons, or he's thrown out there. Obviously, he didn't have an introductory press conference, but that archetype of player has just not had a lot of value this summer. That's the big headline, right? These high scoring guards.
Yeah.
I love this kind of player because I like seeing shit like guards that can score the ball. Like that is literally what I enjoy most about watching basketball. But
yeah, like Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson on a minimum, like even Jalen Green. Even like Jalen Green being the piece the Rockets are willing to give up in the Kevin Durant trade, like it kind of speaks about that type of player that Anthony Simons is to a degree. But yeah, I don't know.
And then I've seen some stuff about the Celtics having conversations with the Grizzlies. I've heard that secondhand from a bunch of people, so no direct sources, but a lot of reporters down here have been talking about it. So
imagine if Kentavious Caldwell-Pope ended up in Boston next year after that playoff series. Oh my God.
He's the one thing about him though is like sometimes you have a bad year,
Definitely. And it's not easy to play there where if you're the only 3-point shooter on the roster, like it's not going to be an easy thing to do. I will also say, like, if the price of shedding some money and taking on like a take a chance guy and or KCP, which is not ideal, if you get that Suns pick for next season, you sort of be like, like at least it gives you a little bit of extra something to think about. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't even know if KCP is who is there. I don't know if that's been reported or more rumored.
Like contracts.
It has been. Yeah, I will say, like, I do think seeing the Georges Niang pushback. I guess that was really specific to the incident with Jaylen Brown a couple years ago. I thought fans just didn't like him, and then I realized it was like very specific to him grabbing Jalen's leg in Game 7 in 2023 versus 76ers, which. Shout out Celtics fans for being very loyal about that play. I think it was a dirty play. And I remember at the time being like, why did he do that? Like he's literally sitting on the bench.
It's definitely a dirty play.
Yeah, but I didn't feel like it's something that was like worth worrying about years later. And I don't think Jalen's very worried about it. When I interviewed Jalen a couple weeks ago or last week, I almost was going to be like, can I get a comment on Georges Niang? But that was off topic. But I was like, I wanted to just clear the story. But then he was at a WNBA game at TD Garden last week, which I wish I was at. And they took some photos together. So I think the heat is a little bit less on Niang at this point. So we'll see about the prospects. I'm looking forward to just seeing what this roster looks like in its final form, especially the 2 trade acquisitions. Those are the 2 guys I'm the least sure about whether they'll be on the roster next year. But there's still a world where a guy like Sam Hauser gets moved, or a guy, I don't want to put them out there because I don't actually know, but it's still possible. They're not out of the woods altogether, but certainly much less likely now than it was a month ago heading into the draft. Jack, any final thoughts from you on Celtics, things you want to plug? What do you want to plug? This is a rare opportunity.
I don't really know. My videos, I do TikToks / they go on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram too. Jack Simone NBA. If you want to watch those, obviously, How About Them Celtics podcast. But writing at Hardwood Houdini, I'm gonna have a couple cool stories this summer on Mario Williams and Max Shulga. If you are interested in the rookies, so that'll come out, and maybe a small thing on Hugo. I talked to somebody about Hugo. I spent my last 2 days or 2 or 3 days at summer leagues talking to their former teammates and such. So some insights, some funny stories that'll be on Hardwood Houdini. So keep an eye out there. But yeah.
Yeah, Jack's been doing cool play breakdowns. So he's been showing different players like their own highlights or their own. Is it all highlights?
Yeah.
There any lowlights?
Not
You just
necessarily
started doing lowlights. Like, what
but-
were you thinking? What were you thinking on this pass?
I don't know if they'd appreciate that very much. I did a couple. I showed him Mario Williams his illegal screen in the Grizzlies game. I said, "Do you ever worry your screens do too much damage?" And he started to laugh. So I've done a couple things. I'll pick plays where like the shot doesn't go in, but the play works, and so I'll mix it up that
Okay.
way. But
But you
thanks for the
haven't
compliment.
you haven't flat out roasted any of the
No,
players. Like
I
imagine
don't
just
think I
being like
want to do
Jordan.
that.
Imagine just being like Jordan, then you're just showing that like all of his worst plays, and he just has to react. You know?
Maybe like 4 film sessions in. Like maybe that's gotta be like
Yeah.
gonna be really comfortable to get with that.
Yeah, not the time. But yeah, you can check out Jack's work. You can check out all of CLNS's coverage on on our YouTube channel, CLNS Media, CLNS All Access. You can check out my podcast, You Got Boston. I did an episode on Matt Reynolds. I did a big story on Matt Reynolds that you should check out if you have not already. The Celtics head coach. All of the press conferences are on there. So quite literally every word that was uttered in a scrum here in Las Vegas, you can find on CLNS Media. Today we heard from Matt Reynolds, Isaiah Wong, Aaron Scott. So some of these guys that you want to get to know a little bit. It's all up there, around the clock coverage. If any news breaks in the next couple of days, in the next couple of weeks, we will be jumping on our full cast to react as we have all summer. So join us, turn on notifications so you don't miss it. All the time people are like, I missed this live. So turn on notifications. You'll be notified if anything happens and we'll be reacting to it right away. I think that's it for me. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. This is it's a special crowd, Sunday night, game 5 of Summer League. We still got people on here. So shout out to you guys for watching. Shout out to you guys for all of the support for the Summer League. I love Summer League. Summer League is like top 3 things to cover for me. Just the vibe. It's the vibes of like, you can see players are fighting for like their spots, their careers. Everybody plays hard. Everybody's trying to make it. It's like something about it is very inspiring to me. So we're going to wrap. We're going to go watch the rest of the championship game down the hall here. There's nobody here left. So maybe we should even jump in the media scrums, Jack, and see if anybody wants to talk to us. But appreciate you all. We'll be back on soon. I have a new God Boston podcast episode on Jaylen Brown coming shortly from our one-on-one conversation. So that'll be out sometime in the next few days. Okay. Good night, everybody.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay. You know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to
Same.
feel that
Same
way.
to you.
Let's fly out over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke